these internet people that are saying muzzle brakes are bad. Like, I know I haven't been in a gunfight, but like, dude, if I'm in a gunfight during the daytime, like, I probably want to have a muzzle brake. Like, it'll probably be a good thing to have like not so much recoil.
Kyle, welcome back to the show.
Good to see you again, Dave.
It's great to have you on, man. I'm pumped to talk to you here because you've had quite the season. In doing the scores for the 3-Gun Show on Mondays, your name has been coming up all this fall because of all the like AK matches, like Kalash Bash, Red October, stuff like that. You pretty much had like a sweeping, dominating season in the AK matches.
Yeah, October's my work's not very happy with me during October because I'm gone the whole time, like shooting matches every weekend, training. But yeah, October went very well. AK season, I really look forward to it all year. Like, I love 3-gun and 2-gun matches, but kind of like breaks up the year when I get to bust out the Galil. Now, for the last 2 years, it's been the Galil, and start training up with 7.62 by 3.9, and like keeps me motivated. I think helps keep me motivated, and I've had a lot of success. I mean, it's what I've talked about on the show before. It's what got me into competitive shooting, and it kind of just always recharges me getting out the heavy rounds for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so I guess that's a good place to start for folks that maybe haven't heard you on the podcast before. Let's cover that briefly. So you and I met like the first time in person at Red October, right? And that was when it was at SUPS. Yeah. And you were on the podium and you were wearing shirt I'm wearing right now. You're wearing the Born to 3-Gun shirt. And
I was.
Holy crap.
I think that was like my first one, which I got third place. It was like I saw the videos online, I saw the YouTube videos. My buddy Robert Good found them, and we were like, dude, we're doing this. And I was like, being who I am, I'm like, I'm gonna try extremely hard to be the best at this AK match thing. And I remember that I got third the first year, and was wearing the 3-gun show. I was trying to rep the 3-gun show up there. I was well before I had any kind of sponsor or help or anything like that.
Yeah, dude, I gotta say, like, it's super exciting for me anytime I see someone on the range that has like a sticker on their gun or their gun bag or t-shirt or baseball cap or something like that. But when I saw you on the podium, I was like, holy shit. Like, I was super happy for you, and I'm like, I have no idea what was that? What'd you say that guy's name was again? And we had never met or anything, but I was just like super pumped to see you up there. So that was really exciting.
Yeah, that was awesome. And Red October back in, I think that from 16 was the first year I wasn't there. And then 17, 18 when it was at SUPS, like especially 17. Oh my God. That was like one of the coolest matches ever. Like, you had the full trenches, and you had jungle runs up like a canyon, and you had to go into a tower and shoot long range out of a tower after like sprinting up a hill. And like, I remember a shoot house where you had to like a big shoot house where you had
the Mad Bulgarian shoot house.
Yes, Mad Bulgarian shoot house, which you had to go like 5 different windows and doorways and shit, shooting out of it, smashing it open with a sledgehammer and throwing a flashbang in. Like, that was something else, man.
Dude, it was so much fun. So I shot that one as well as my first match. And I shot with the Yackleys, and that was the year that Becky and I borrowed one of Tim's rifles. And at the time, we were shooting 5.45 by 39. And I was like, hey, Tim, I need to pay you for ammo. And he's like it's so cheap, like it doesn't even make sense to give me money.
Oh,
and,
man.
I know, the good old days, man.
Yeah, I don't want to think about 5.45 now.
I know, it's so sad.
Oh, dude.
It's so sad.
I mean, I may have an ungodly amount of it, but I'm not getting any more.
Yeah. Once you put the cap on it of like, can you get more? Is it really an ungodly amount, or is it now like a lifetime supply? And then you gotta go ask your doctor, like, how long am I going to live? And then sort of partition it out.
That's I mean, for me, what I have is it's not coming out unless things get real weird. That's kind of the plan. A Vepper with, it's funny, my good longtime friend Nick DeCecco. This guy came out and shot for the first time in a few years. We both have the same Vepr 74 setup with this thing called an Obzor. It's a Russian collimator sight. So like collects light and has like this triangle reticle with lines, and then has a tritium reticle for nighttime too. And it's huge. It's like super tall. It's like a 4-inch height over bore, and it goes on the side rail in the AK. And
Nice.
yeah, that's like a very legit fighting gun. You could just, it's a Vepr, so it's like a RPK receiver on a 74, so you can pretty much just like mag dump like 5,000 rounds. Like, it'll be fine.
Well, that's funny. Like the 4-inch offset, like that's kind of where the industry is going now, is like weird red dots on super high mounts, you know.
It would be cool and trendy now, except for the part where it's like this close to your face, so you're not going to be wearing any nods using it. Like, it's got the height thing for the nods. That would be cool and all, but then yeah, like you have like no room for anything besides your eyeball.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Okay. So backing up just a little bit here. So you did start basically mag dumping in the desert with in your shooting journey. If I remember correctly, you found like a large ammo stash at a family member's, and you just kind of helped yourself
true.
to some and thought,
that's true. Yes,
I'm gonna learn to shoot. And so you took a bunch, went to the desert, and taught yourself to shoot.
Yep. I worked at a paintball store too, so I always had these expired CO2 tanks, that you use on the paintball guns. And so I just always, every time I shot, I brought out a bucket full of CO2 tanks. We'd set them up and then just try to knock them down 50, 100 yards as fast as we could. So it was always kind of like trying to get better and faster, even when I never just mag dumped into trash. I mean, not like, okay, yeah, of course I mag dumped into trash, but not like I didn't go out and just mag dump into trash the whole day.
Yeah, dude, I had that. Speaking of mag dump, where you're like, yeah, I'm not a mag dumper, and then you end up mag dumping. The other day I was out shooting 22s, because just a couple days ago was October of 2022, so it was 10/22, right? So my first rifle I ever had was a 10/22, and I remember specifically when I got it, I was like 13 years old. And my stepdad wanted to get me like the bolt action single shot, because that's what he learned to shoot with. And he's like, yeah, it taught me marksmanship and everything. I was like, no, I want the one with the 10 round super clip there, And he's like, no, you're just going to go mag dumping. I was like, I'm not going to go mag dumping. And then like, here we are like 30 years later, and I'm just mag dumping into some steel on the range. Mag dumping my 10/22.
Steel. I mean, that's still marksmanship. You're trying to hit something fast.
Yeah, he was right. But he was right.
Yeah, he was right.
He was right. Yeah, for sure.
I think if I have a kid, I'm going to force him to shoot a single shot 22. It's going to happen.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
had to shoot a pellet gun. I grew up in California. I had to shoot a pellet gun when I was a kid. Fucking Gammo, breaking the barrel. That's what I did all day.
Yeah, my brother and I guess it was probably my dad's, but there was a BB gun like laying by the back door, and it was just like, anytime you see a squirrel, you can go ahead and shoot it, because this was the 80s, so you just had to go grab the milk carton full of BBs and dump it in there, and then ours was a pump, so you pump that thing up. And
I had one of those too, believe me.
Yeah, those were the good old days, man. But you did have to work for that round, so you did kind of respect it a little bit more.
Oh yeah. You had to there's a lot more time involved in each shot, so you really had to pay attention to what you were doing. You don't get that instant satisfaction of mag dumping in trash.
Yeah, exactly. All right, yeah. So the October season is, it's a good reset. Like Scott Green told me years ago, he's like, just put your 3-gun stuff down and go shoot something else and have something fun to do. And that is kind of what like the AK season is, right? It's something different to do, but it's still all the same things that we practice in 3-gun. It is competition based. It does have like a rule set. So I feel like there's a lot of good crossover, and I do feel like the being a round shooter as far as proficiency in different platforms is something I value more now than I did when I was younger. And when I was younger, I thought like specialization. You have one pistol, you have one rifle, you only shoot those. And now I kind of like shooting more variety. So AK matches are a good time.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. And I'm the same way. I'm really like, I just want to have the one pistol. I just want to have the one rifle. If I have a second rifle, it's like a copy. Like I don't want to switch from a 14.5 inch with a red dot to an 18-inch with a scope. Like I'm just going to shoot my 18-inch with a scope all the time. But yeah, adding the AK in really does help bring some fun in and switch things up. And it's just one of those weird things that humans do when you get back on, what you're used to. You seem to just notice different things because your mind's in a different place.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good thing. Like the getting a little bit of cross training and variety helps
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I guess identify the deficiencies or proficiencies that you've had in the original platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
All right, man. So let's talk about your match season. So end of the year
Um,
here, how'd it go?
so yeah, this year, the 2022 season, I got like a list of the matches. So first thing, I'm include a couple like local trophy matches that I
Mm-hmm.
shot, which aren't exactly major matches, but like the first thing I shot of the year was called a Ronin Shutra. It was like a USPSA. I don't know if it was sanctioned or if it was an outlaw because I don't pay much attention to USPSA. But so I just shot limited. I shoot 9 mil minor, my 3 gun, tac ops pistol, and I won that. And then the next match, which was definitely a major, was the PCSL Carbine match, which was one of my favorite matches now, if not my favorite like format for sure.
Really?
So yeah, and I will shill PCSL all day, and Max puts on a really great match, and the rule set's awesome. Everything's great about that match, and this was the carbine only
Mm-hmm.
PCSL, so it was just two divisions. You got the tactical and competition, and I won the competition by a slim margin. Competition division meaning like basically anything goes, and the practical division is like a duty rifle, so you can't have magazines over 30. You can't have a muzzle brake, and your bolt carrier needs to be full mass. I think that's the main regulations on the other division. But yeah, I was really happy. Won the competition division. There was a shoot off. Also, it was like we call it like something six, super six shoot off,
Mm-hmm.
where you like shoot a stage, which was fucking awesome. I've never done that
Yeah,
before.
yeah. That's
Um,
a really cool. That's a really cool concept that I'm not sure if I've seen.
I've never seen it either. It was the first time,
Trying
and
to
you
think
know what
what.
it is. People don't like want to like. They're like, oh, I want to go home. But it
Yeah.
was great because Max had it. So you shot like one stage on Sunday, and then it was boom straight to the shoot off. And yeah, everybody's all on one stage. So it's just like the ladies division went first, and then you had the tactical and the practical and the competition division, and you'd have like the top six in each division, I believe, would shoot off on that stage, and then the two lowest would get kicked off, and then you do the next stage. So it was a total of 3 stages, and then on the
Hmm.
last stage, it was just the top two in each division. And it ended up being me and Zach Smith, like my good friend and business partner Zach. So I got to it. Zach like just destroys the shoot offs, the last shoot off stage. Like there was no room to make up anything. Like he literally didn't fuck up anything, which I was like, oh, okay. And I got to the steal. It was like some offhand steal. And I whiffed like 3 shots. And I was kind of like, yeah, I fucking lost. Whatever, dude. I'm just going to send it now. I had like a mic and stuff. But yeah, it was cool. So I had won the match, and then Zach won the shoot off. And it was, it's cool like having people spectating. And it was like, I like the pressure. I always seem to shoot better
Yeah.
with more pressure for some reason. So that was the PCSL. Then I had Superstition 3 gun after that, which I've shot for 5 years now. It's like my holy grail. I've wanted to win it so bad in TAC, and I finally won it.
Nice.
First year winning Superstition. Then I shot Texas 3 gun for the first time, Aaron Hayes match. And I was pretty excited to go see that because like all the videos always look so freaking cool from the match, and it didn't disappoint. Like it was an awesome match. AMU was there, was a ton of heat. I ended up taking fourth in that match, which I was happy with. You know, being the first time I'd ever been there, not really knowing what to expect. I kind of I won like two of the three long range stages, and where all the long range was like inside 400, and then there was one with like a 550 and 600-yard target, and I just completely shit the bed on that. The wind was like ripping. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I didn't know where to hold for wind. But that match was rad, like huge jungle runs.
That's a great match. They always do like a really good job with it. But you're right. The wind there is unforgiving. You know, I haven't, luckily I haven't had like super long ranges in the ripping wind, but it's been like windy. But man, the videos from Vortex Shootout just last weekend, they had like an American flag on a stage, and it was just
I
like
saw that.
whipping. It's like, holy shit, that would suck to shoot that stage in the wind.
That big rock. Yeah, I know exactly where that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's rough. I mean, you can read it pretty decently because it seems like it's fairly open terrain, so there's not like weird crosswinds and stuff.
Yeah.
Like everything I'm practicing in, I think that's part of the reason it's hard in California is my desert spots have a lot of crosswinds, and it's hard for me to like learn my wind holds at like 500, 600 yards just because it's never just the wind going one way. And I'm not, I don't know, I'm not a fucking sniper.
Dude, if you ever make it out here to Cheyenne, like we've got a 1,000-yard range, in like October to May is like our windy season. And man, it's amazing. Like Forrest and I've gone there several times where he's shooting, I'm just sitting on the glass and just like watching his rounds and what they're doing as they're covering like different terrain and like the different ways because we have long grass out there too, like watching the different ways the grass moves and everything. You awesome. Learn a lot just sitting behind the glass. So it's the
grass, being able to read the grass, like that's huge. So, like the desert, you can't read the there's bushes and stuff, but they're really rigid, so you can't tell which way it's blowing unless you like shoot the ground. Maybe that's what I start doing. I'll start like sending around at 200 yards, see which way the dirt kicks.
Yeah, Memorial 3-gun was cool because the backstops were these big concrete blocks, so you hit them and it creates this big puff of concrete powder.
What?
Right? Yeah,
that's cool.
It was great.
I've never seen anything like that, but that sounds pretty cool.
I never had either, but it was pretty impressive. Apparently, the range facility has like a mold, and they just pour all these concrete blocks and put them all over the range.
Okay, right on. I like that.
It's pretty
idea.
Slick. It's pretty cool.
A couple thousand rounds before it start blowing through it.
Dude, they took so when I say concrete blocks, like they're to stop vehicles, so they're 1.5 foot deep, 2 foot deep, maybe. Yeah, they need like a fork to move them. You can't just move them as a person.
Sick.
Yeah, they're sweet.
That's a very American. Have you ever seen the Archangel Michael club in Russia? It's an indoor like IPSC club. It's probably the nicest shooting club I've ever seen, but it's indoor, and there's probably like 10 different stage size rooms you can be in. And all the targets are on these rolling traps. So you have like the IPSC target, and then the trap is like double the size. So as long as you're not like totally whiffing, the bullet's going to hit this rubber trap. And then they have just insane mover sequences, like little bobbers that are steel and swingers, and the most interesting activators I've ever seen at a match.
Crazy.
They'll have the traps that they put, rubber traps that go behind everything. It's really wild.
Yeah, that's something I don't think would fly in the U.S. Like just a trap behind the target. Like we've got so many yahoos here.
Yeah, everybody there is like, if they get a Delta, that's like worst case scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got
Steger went there for a while. It was years ago, but Steger was out there training and posted a ton of videos. And Graffel, I'm pretty sure, goes and trains there. Graffel has a bunch of videos of him training there as well.
Yeah, I've seen him in the type of situations you're describing. I just didn't know where it was.
Oh yeah. If it looks insane, like way too nice, it's Russia.
Yeah,
the government
almost
probably looks... they starved like a couple thousand people to have that. No, I'm just kidding.
Bunch of conscripts. Yeah, just kidding. Yeah, they it almost looks like they're shooting in like a gymnasium that would be for I don't know, Olympians to train in kind of thing. But then
exactly.
But then they're shooting actual bullets and real
Yep.
guns. Yeah,
Yes. Very cool. Very
it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
So, all right. So, anyways, after Texas three gun, next one that I shot was Vortex Trigun. That was my
Hmm.
first time shooting Trigun too, which was awesome. Like I really liked that match and the range. And Minnesota's cool. Like first time ever going to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Everybody's like super friendly. It's
Yeah.
not just the people from Minnesota you meet in three gun.
Yeah,
uh,
they have like a really cool culture there at that range, like a shooting culture. But then yeah, when you go and talk to people outside the range, you realize like, oh yeah, okay, this is just how people are in the Midwest.
yeah,
It's
there's
got to be like a culture shock coming from California. It's like,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. Everybody just wants to kill you in California. But uh, yes, that match was one of the most just well set up, super good competitive equity. Like there was only one long range stage because that was all that they had. They had like a
Hmm.
350 yard. I'm sure you know about it. They had the one 350 yard bay, and they made a really cool long range stage out of it. And I think in my opinion, 350 yards is like a good place to be for 223 long range shooting. Um, and that was just interesting. Like every stage had like some cool test um, of your shooting skills, but none of it was like stupid and gimmicky. In my opinion, it was all pretty like skills that you should be good at. It was testing. Besides one hidden target that cost me the match. Yeah, I got second. I got second in that match. It was Daniel from Texas.
Oh
Forget
yeah,
talking about his
Jurassic.
last.
Yep,
Yeah, Daniel Jurassic. Yeah, he took the win at that match, and we were in
good
the
for
same
him.
squad, and it was the first time shooting with him too. So that was pretty cool. Like Daniel's super cool guy.
Yeah,
And
yeah, he's a good shooter too. That's good that he made it to the Midwest and won. I mean, sucked that you lost, sucked that you missed that target, but it's cool.
yeah, I got no excuses because I think it was his first time shooting that match as well. So
Yeah, I
yeah, we were
believe
both
so.
first time trying it, and yeah, we both shot real good. And obviously there was a lot of those round shotgun um, targets, or tube
Oh yeah,
shot
the
the tubes,
pipes.
the pipes,
Yeah.
yeah, the pipes that you knock down. And I was so afraid of it because like I remember like Matt Kitzmiller telling me about how hard they were to knock down, how he got like super humbled by it, and I was like, okay, well, I'm kind of a deliberate shotgun shooter as it is. I aim too hard with a shotgun, um, so they ended up being fine. And also, I'm not shooting a pepper, so like
Yeah.
I got the long barrel on a 1301, so I didn't have any problems with those things. But
You know,
yeah, it
a
was
lot of
cool.
people forget that those pipes actually, they don't have that. I mean, it's deceiving, right? Because you look at like like a 5-inch pipe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like you're shooting a 5-inch square where all your pattern can get on it. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's probably like a 2-inch section, and then the rest of it curves, and so it deflects the pattern.
Yeah,
So
it's
you do need
literally
to choke
one
down.
line. It's one
Yep.
line where you're hitting a square surface. Everything else is hitting at an angle, so you're not like transferring as much energy. So yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta. I had like a light mod in my 1301 the whole time, so that would be like I don't know an improved mod or like a full choke for a dissident probably for a
Yeah.
pepper.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, you gotta shoot it like it's a PCC almost.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. And then they got I don't know if they were there for Trigun because I didn't go, but for JKM, which was what, month or two later, they had what they call the locals called the new pipes, and they were really thick walled, so they were heavy as shit, and they have no surface area. So yeah, they were quite the challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
Always
It was
go
pretty
see how
cool.
heavy those things are. If you ever see a pipe in a match, go see how heavy those things are.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I was touching all of them. I was looking at them, see how thick they were, and feeling them. I was like, okay, there's some stages where they were thicker for sure. You got to
Yeah, for sure.
kind of take note of it, but not like I'm gonna remember that on the clock.
Yeah, you just
So
choke for the hardest, right?
yeah. So after that, that was it for my three gun season so far because I'm still gonna shoot. There's a PCSL 2 gun match that is
Mm-hmm.
this month, and I think it's in
St.
like a
George.
week. in St. George, yeah. And then there's Hard as Hell 3-gun, the return of Hard as Hell 3-gun. So I'm still
Nice.
not done with 2-gun, 3-gun for the year. But so after Vortex Trigun, it was AK time.
Hmm.
And I shot this local match, Turner's Sporting Goods and West End Gun Club. It's like a local range. They have like a tactical rifle match. And so I bust out the Galil iron sights, won that match overall with the 7.62 against the guys with ARs. And then I went and shot Red October Cold War, the
Arizona.
match in Arizona. Yep. And I won heavy irons there, second overall. Jay Carrillo beat me this year with his open gun. And there's a lot of bipod stuff you could use. And I was like, fuckers better beat me this year, dude. There's no way. There's no way. Last year I ended up winning it overall somehow. And that match is hard. I got a lot of 300-yard shots and
I got a lot of texts from people saying like, you got to come to this Arizona match at the Arizona Red October. I forgot. Would you say it was called Cold War?
Cold War.
Yeah. Because of that, because it's super technical and there's a lot of challenging targets, but because of that, it doesn't seem like the normal AK crowds there. It seems like it's competition shooters that are picking up their AKs. Am I right on that?
Primarily, yeah. It's mostly you do have the guys that are dressing up, and there's like some dudes dressed up like medieval crusaders and stuff. Like you still have some of the, I think it was like the Dylan guys, and you got dudes shooting M1 Grands and like because there's like a Cold War, so there's other guns allowed. You can shoot like an AR with iron sights in one of the divisions. So you still do get a little bit of that, but there's something about the Arizona gun culture. Like the people who shoot matches are like pretty proficient.
Mm-hmm.
And so despite it being a really technical good, and it's technical in the best way, it's like Superstition.
Yes.
It's just dialed in. They know what they're doing. They've done this for a long time. They know how to set up stages that are fair and cool. And it was just all around a solid match. And you do have a few of the people, but it's never like you don't have like holdups and people not taping and issues that you'll run into with like newer shooters or squads of newer shooters and other AK matches. So really enjoyed that one. Really cool. Really liked that match in Arizona. The next weekend, so it was back to back, was the Clash Bash.
Yeah.
Which didn't disappoint. It was probably, since I've shot it 3 years now, was the best one by far. Like really? The match. Yeah, it was really good. I think we had 9 stages this time. We went from like 5 to 9 stages. All were good. All were interesting. Everybody was super mad about having to wear a purse on one of them. You had to wear like a woman's purse and like and redo all your reloads, like forced like 2 or 3 reloads on the stage. And I thought it was cool because it was a 3 per stage on a balance beam, which was like reminiscent of one of the Red October in like 2018. I think you had a 3 per stage balancing beams.
I was going to say that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I liked I'm sure Clay was thinking of that when he designed the stage, which was rad. And I also thought it was funny people getting mad about wearing the purse. I was only mad because there's only one type of purse. You could choose like 10 different ones, but they're all the same. I was like, you should have had different purses so I could like game and figure out what purse I want to fucking use. So you had a heat stage, which was cool. You had to like load money into a bag and shoot the whole stage with the money on. That was a cool like little gimmick. And then for the most part, everything else was just straightforward, like shooting fast, a couple steals mixed in. You had the most long range you've had so far. There's like 2 stages with 200 to 300-yard targets.
Oh, you're kidding!
And it was smart how they did it.
That's like a breakthrough for that match.
Oh yeah, and that like most of the people there, I'm not like dissing on people who like can't hit shit, especially with iron sights at like 300 yards. Like I get it, but I've even heard Clay in the awards like last year. He was like, "Man, some of you guys are really bad," but they did it in a way where you had to load your mag on the clock, so you can only load like as many as you thought you would need to shoot the long range, so people wouldn't go to war like go through 3 mags.
Can we stop loading fucking mags on the clock for God's sake?
I know this was the only time that I was like, okay, I get it. Like you had 10 already, enough to hit the targets, and then anything you put in extra was your makeup shots.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, cool. Like that way you're limiting. You're not like actually wasting time. You're limiting time so people don't go to war.
Yeah, so that
Um,
makes it an interesting puzzle. I'm still not giving it a pass, but that does make it a little bit more interesting than just starting with an empty mag.
I get it. I get it. I don't totally disagree with you. The loading mags on the clock is kind of
It's dumb.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why
it's
we have mags. Otherwise, we would just be like single loading the gun, right?
true. True.
um,
So
so
that was that, and then Clash or
hang on, let me
Red
back up real
October.
quick. So
Oh, sorry.
first question: were Mike and Lan involved in Clash Bash again this year? Because
Oh
usually
yeah.
they do
No,
the stages, right?
yeah, that's why it was so good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Clay designed that purse one. I know, like I talked to him about it. I was like, "You did that right? Fuck with like everybody." and, um, most
So
for the
this
most part, Mike and Land designed all the stages, and like you could tell they were designed by like dudes who
who
know what they're
shoot?
doing. Yeah,
Yeah,
who
they do know
shoot,
what they're doing.
who shoot a
So
lot.
the other thing is the purse thing, and that reminds me years ago at the DC Project team match. I don't remember how, but there was I don't remember exactly who it was or what, but there was a stage where you had to hold hands in between moving between shooting positions, and there was a dude that would not hold another dude's hand. It's like no, and then finally,
No,
like the consensus was just like no one would video it. And then it was like, all right, but I'm not going to hold it real tight. It was really weird.
oh my god, that's hilarious.
I
I
know.
won't do it.
Like,
Just think of it as a handshake.
yeah,
That's manly.
exactly.
There you go. Just think of it as
Exactly.
an extended, long-term, awkward handshake.
With your clammy hands.
We've all had
Uh,
those. Somebody's like all psychotic and drunk, and they like give you that weird handshake, and they keep like looking at you. You're like,
yeah.
yeah, cool, man. You gonna fucking let go of my hand already?
Dude, I said I was sorry, Kyle. I don't know why you got to bring it up on the show. Come on. Yeah. The weird handshake, the purse thing. Yeah. I mean, I guess just have a good time. It'll be fine. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so the I guess the last match then would be the actual OG Red October, which is now in Las Vegas. How'd that one go?
Yes. I did well in that match. Won that match as well. I think I got third overall. Yeah, I think Josh and oh yeah, I didn't say I won overall at Clash Bash,
Mm.
which I was like really happy about. And then I think I got third overall, won Heavy Irons again at Red October, which was my fourth year undefeated. So
Good for you, man.
yeah,
You know,
it was that match was so there was a huge music festival in Vegas like when we were young. It was like Blink 182 and all these like 90s bands, um, and some like random extremely heavy bands like Knocked Loose. But so I was like, holy fuck, that's gonna be a bad mix. But anyways, like that huge multi-million-dollar music festival got canceled because the wind was so bad.
oh, no
Um,
kidding.
and yeah, those motherfuckers were probably gonna be like indoors or like in a thing with like windbreaks. We're out there at Pro Gun, the worst range ever. Fuck Pro Gun. I will say this all day. Terrible. It's all rocks. It's always windy as shit. But this time it was like 60-mile-an-hour winds and it like blew over. They had a shoot house stage, which was the coolest stage in the match. Like Marco and a lot of the Vegas guys built this pallet wall shoot house. Blew over, like gone. And we shot through it. I mean, we shot all day Saturday. Everybody just dealt with it and still had a good time doing it. And yeah, there were some interesting stages. And if you saw my video, I was bitching and complaining because they had rubber targets this time.
Yeah.
These was like infinity targets, and it was funny because I had just gotten an advertisement on Instagram for those like the week before or the day before they announced they were going to use them. And I looked at the thing on Instagram. I was like, that is so fucking stupid. I would never buy those things in a million years. Just use paper. And then it was like, oh, we're going to use these for a match. And the match is good. I get it. Like, but please God, don't everybody and don't anybody ever use infinity rubber targets again for any match ever. They are not good.
Well, tell me why, because I saw that advertisement too, and actually, I think like within a a day or two, there was like 7 people that sent me their advertisement, like their post. So it must have been popping in like everyone's feeds for some reason, and people like would forward
Yeah.
it to me, and it got to be the point where it's like, what am I missing here? Like, this is a rubber target that people are shooting.
Dude,
Like,
they're 3/4 inch thick, bro. You want to go to the range and bring 6 targets to set up? They're 3/4 inch thick rubber, like giant chunks of rubber, and you spray paint them. So now you don't have tape. Now you have to bring cans of spray paint to spray the holes. And then it's like 200 shots per square inch. So basically, like the A zone starts getting blown out, like, holes start blowing out. And now, like, you have holes in the target you can't tape or like close up, and you're just like spray painting
well,
over it. And
hang on. I think you might be being overly critical here. Like, certainly they're cheap, right? Like that makes it valuable.
I have no idea how much they cost, but probably I'm going to assume a lot more than a piece of cardboard.
$90 is the correct answer, by the way.
No, $90 per target.
Yeah, I just looked it up as we're talking here.
You're
Yeah,
fucking kidding me.
a full size USPSA target. Because I was just thinking, like, I wonder what the cost cutoff is, because a can of paint's pretty cheap. I know a roll of stickers is kind of cheap, gets on the expensive side. Roll of masking tape super cheap. What's cardboard? Well, cardboard is like what, $80 for
It's $1.
100?
Yeah, it's like $1 target or less.
Yeah, it's just I think it's slightly less, but then when you add shipping, it gets to be like $1 a target. Yeah, so it's like $100 for 100 targets. But yeah, so I looked this up as you were talking. $89 for one full size USPSA target.
No, let me give you people. I usually don't like hurting people's feelings, but if you bought those, you need to rethink your decisions in life. And if you were thinking about buying one you haven't, you should go buy an unrivaled muzzle brake. An unrivaled buffer
I was
system
just thinking. Yeah.
instead of that. And then, I don't know, dude, like, bring out a piece of like 8.5 by 11 paper. That'll be better than like anything but those targets. Yeah, I mean, I see where it's like one of those things where, yeah, you can do it, and like somebody thought of it and was like, oh, this will be a good idea. But it's just
sounds
like,
cool.
I had a conversation with one of the designers that I work with at Ford, and he was like talking about, he's like, well, what's with guns? Why don't we have rail guns? Why can't we do cartridgeless? Why don't we have no cartridges? Can we do a fuel injected like chamber, blah, 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 blah. And I'm explaining to him all the reasons why a metallic cartridge is like still undefeated. Like, you're just not going to beat, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that we still make brass. Like, it's so stupid, in my opinion. It should be steel casings. We literally probably do it because Russia does it. We're like, well, we're not going to do it because Russia does it. But yeah, like, steel cased metallic cartridges are just like, you can't beat it. Like, it takes a ton of the heat out of the gun. Like, it's all self-contained. Yeah, it's a little bit of extra weight. It's minimal components. Like, guns can be really simple using them. It's one of those things where it's like, it's already, I know it seems old and antiquated like a piece of cardboard, but it's just like, it is the best way. But I'm sorry, I've been ranting about infinity targets for like 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
Well, it's okay. You got me interested now.
Sorry, Brian, I know Tyler made the most hilarious video, like, talking shit about me. He's like, when some competition cheer comes up bitching about the perforated scoring zones, and it's him mag dumping his revolver like on one of the targets. I was like, I deserve it. I was being a bitch, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, good for these guys. Like, I never fault like capitalism, but I also don't have to buy everything, right? And good for these guys, but I would choose not to purchase those.
yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, yeah, infinity is a strong word, but good for them. Good for them. I'm more interested in the steel case cartridge thing. So, what do you think about polymer? This is a total random off topic.
Yeah, I can see polymer being usable, and I can see like insulating heat better from the chamber, like less heat sinking into the chamber from the shots, because like it's less conductive, like a ceramic or a polymer. But then again, like, the strength isn't there, and I know how important like neck tension is and stuff like that for accuracy. So I don't know how consistently accurate you're gonna have like a polymer casing be.
It almost seems like that's like a again, mag dumping in the trash kind of thing. So yeah. I don't know. Like last time I was at SHOT a couple years ago, there was polymer case technology was the whiz bang thing, and people were surrounding this one area, and I didn't have time to like stop and try to figure it out and fight through the crowd, but it looks like a thing, and I like technology and I like engineering things, but I like you said, like I don't understand how the chamber would seal well enough to be accurate.
The polymer gun or the polymer cartridge gun, I like watched a video on it a while ago, and I remember it had to like feed the cartridge into like a rotating like cylinder that then put it into the chamber area. So just added like a ton of extra moving parts and complexity to the gun.
Yeah.
Which yeah, there's a reason why like the AR and the AK are the most popular platforms, and even the guns that aren't ARs and AKs are usually pretty similar, unless you're German. You want to make this like roller delay?
Yeah, I don't have anything nice to say. So yeah,
it's just simple's good.
Simple is good. I mean, it's like the Glock pistol, right?
Yeah, yeah. Glock 2011, 1911 platform. It's, I mean, it just works. Less moving parts, the better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Well, okay, so back to your shooting season. So you had a pretty damn good season. Like, well done, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me give you a little applause.
Yay!
I am a huge proponent of overall doesn't matter until I see someone won overall with true irons, and then I'm like, well, maybe overall is kind of an accomplishment. So you shot the entire AK season, which was 3 matches, with irons. Like, well done, dude. That's pretty freaking amazing.
Thanks, man. I mean, I also have been on the irons for years now because that's what I was always shooting with my SKS back in the day. Mm-hmm. And that's what I started. Every AK match I've ever shot has been heavy irons. So I've got a lot of years of iron sights, and I'm somewhat of a machinist. So like, yeah, like the iron sights on my Galil. It's a Dissident Galil Gen 2 ACE. The sights are homemade. Anybody who's watching the video, you can see my front sight post. That's completely machined by me. And then the rear sight is like a modified with a AK aperture.
Let's see if I can make this. No. Crap. I'm trying a new format here, and I'm trying to figure out like how do I give. There we go.
Oh, there it is.
Now you got the main stage.
So I have I made I forget the name of this, but it's the U.S. Army standard issue rear sight, and I made my own aperture for it and changed the geometry so it has like a 50-yard and a 300-yard zero. You just flick this lever all the way down for 300, all the way up for 50, and then yeah, the front sight is basically it's an AK sight that clamps on the barrel of a Galil Gen 2 ACE, and I mean it's not like I'm crazy cheating or anything. It's just I just wanted sights that look like a regular AK sight on a Galil because it doesn't exist. Like you, like the Gen 1 Galils ACEs, they have a front sight post like kind of normal AK sights, but I don't like it because you don't get the sight radius because it's on the gas block. The Gen 2, most people just put front sight on the rail, but I'm not doing that because I don't want to shift my point of impact when I'm like using barricades. So yeah, I just made my own iron sights that go on the clamp on the barrel. And there's 2 other pairs of them in existence. Lance Dingler has one set. He has like a clone of my gun essentially, and then my buddy that I work with, Robert Good. He's got a clone of it as well, and I don't know. I might try to make a production run of them eventually if anybody cares about iron sights anymore.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is that going to be an unrivaled part? But yeah, it is kind of a hard market, right, to make irons.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some people out there that would appreciate having backup, like actual accurate backup iron sights on their Galil. I mean, it is like such a solid freaking gun. It's kind of weird to put flimsy little flip up sights or whatever on it. I mean, you could put rear flip up maybe, but for a front sight, it's good to have something that's actually going to hold zero.
Yeah. So the barrel. So now, or excuse me, having it the front sight attached on the barrel. Um, now you're introducing like another range of movement, right? So you have the what axial movement about the barrel. So how is that a pain in the ass to zero?
No, well, okay.
No.
I actually put it on and eyeballed it, and I had an 8-inch steel at 50 yards, and I hit it the first shot I ever fired with these sights.
Oh, well, there
So
you go.
I did the math right, and I knew if I got it centered, it would be good. I like set it to where I thought it would be, and yeah, it was within 8 inches, just eyeballing it. Lance didn't have any problem zeroing it either. You just kind of eyeball center like you would when you're setting up a reticle on a scope, and then it's actually easy. Clamp it down, and then you have elevation and windage adjustments on the rear sight for dialing it in.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Interesting.
it's easy. It's just basically open sights like an AK, notch and post in the front. And I got a fiber optic in the front like a pistol, so I get a bright dot. Um, and yeah, I mean that definitely is part of it. Like having good sights and a good cheek weld, like that's number one thing. I see people that struggling with irons. Like you have to have a good cheek weld. You should just be able to like mount the gun, and the sights should automatically be lined up for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, 90% of the targets in AK matches, you don't even need to worry about any sort of alignment. If the notch is in the freaking, if the post is in the notch somewhere, you just send it.
Yeah, yeah. Most of the targets in AK matches are like pointers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Don't really use a whole lot of the sight. Well, so on that note, so years ago, I want to say it was like the gosh, I don't even want to say what podcast it was, but I had Keith Garcia on the podcast, and he was talking about the exact same thing you just mentioned. There is the importance of repeatability of getting the stock in the same place on your face, or your face in the same place in the stock every single time. And from there, I kind of adopted like using my cheekbone as my index point, because my cheekbone never moves. But as I speak, as I move, as I run, my jaw moves. So I use my cheekbone, but I've found that actually fairly recently, since I moved here to Cheyenne and shoot with Forrest a lot, he can't shoot from my guns because he's like basically his jaw like a mid range index, and so that made me aware of like what are other people doing, and I found that I'm way higher on my face for the stock than most people are. So like when you think about like the space between where your cheekbone is and like where the bottom of your jaw is, there's a couple inches in between. You can't see because of my microphone, but there's a couple inches in between. So where are you at between that? Do you kind of err toward the cheekbone, or are you more to the jaw, or are you right in the middle, or how do you do that?
The jaw. And
You're on the jaw.
I'm on the jaw, and I think that my jaw is very loose. Like I'm kind of like a mouth breather when I'm shooting, because I like to sink my into the fat and skin on my cheek. So I like to come in kind of low, and then I set my head down. So I come in at the bottom of my jaw, touching, and then I set my head down so it pulls the skin up, and that forms like a consistent and kind of soft like cheek weld every time. And it also, I think the issue with the upper bone, like what would you call it, your cheekbone, is now you're canting your head a lot. Whereas if you're coming in with your jaw, my head is as close to upright as it can be.
Yeah.
And then also big thing is you gotta tune your gun. Like you can't just, especially in AK, or even just like, I see so many people out there with freaking like a Magpul stock, just like a normal Magpul stock and nothing on it. It's like, dude, I don't care if you're using a scope or whatever. Like you should probably adjust. It doesn't matter. Like my hunting rifle, it's pieces of foam from the Vortex box that my Razor came in that I cut up and used hockey tape to make a cheek riser. Like you should have a super repeatable, and when you go prone, like you should be just sitting there. You shouldn't have to be like using your neck muscles like crazy when you're prone.
Right.
And yeah, I think the best thing though, Dissident stock. Get the freaking Dissident. Mine has this weird butt pad that I make to extend it. That's just my deal. But just the stock Dissident stock on an AR or an AK with an AR adapter, you can't beat it. Like it's freaking fantastic.
Yeah. I would agree. I've got that same stock on my AR, and mine is like you said, I've fit it to me and to my shooting style. But then when I hand it to someone else, they can't get their face low enough in the scope. And I think that's exactly what it is. We're just using two different reference points. So,
Yeah.
but I guess like, now I got to decide if that's working for me, if that's serving me, or I need to change. But, it might not be, might not be the greatest, because if I don't use my Oakley Tombstone glasses, if I'm just shooting through normal glasses, I have to look over them because my neck position is such that I have to use basically the top of my vision rather than the center of my vision when I'm going prone.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
Yeah,
that's
and
my
you don't
off
want that.
season. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
You need the dry fire. It's like, especially something like that you've been doing for so long. You have to do. This goes for anything. If you want to break a habit, like, or change a habit, that you have myelination of your nervous system, like you've already done it a shitload.
mm-hmm.
You got to do it every single day for at least 2 weeks before you have any chance of that becoming the new default for your body. So like, yeah, for you, if you wanted to change that, I would like just do 100, at least 100 reps standing, just going from like a port arms to bring the gun up, and then like a ton of reps of just like going prone and getting on the gun, or even just like laying prone and grabbing the gun and like mounting it, because that would be super. I know if I wanted to change something like that, oh my god, dude, like it's so deeply ingrained in me, like it would take a lot to change that habit.
Yeah, and I have several guns I need to change too because like my 5.56 Galil, my 3-gun rifle, my 10-22, like they're all, and it's all from handing them to other people and them not being able to see the scope through the scope is like, and I'm just like, oh, fix yourself. And then after it happened so many times, I was like, whoa, shit, maybe I'm the problem here.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've ever shouldered one of your guns. So I probably
No, I
wouldn't be
would
able
never
to.
let you touch one of my guns. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand. I
no,
am like, dude, I'm mostly Italian. I'm all greasy, stupid.
Well, so on the dry fire note, one of the things that you and I talked about in prepping for this podcast, and something that we're gonna do a little more on. So I got a 7.62 39 Galil myself. I'm not well versed in the AK. Like years ago, I had an SKS. I haven't shot any 7.62 other than like mag dumps in at Red October. Since then, now, and when I got the Galil Ace initially, they didn't have the Gen 2, so it was the Gen 1. So I have the Gen 1 5.56. And the reason I got that is, obviously it takes the D60. If you're going to shoot open with an optic on it, which I like to do, makes sense to have a D60. I'll just go with the 5.56. Has similar AR controls, not quite the same, but it does have some of those familiarity things to it. Now with the 7.62 39 Galil, everything's different. And so I'm like trying to figure out like how to, I mean, I can see how to operate it, right? But like, what's the most efficient way to operate it? So that's where the fun part of this job comes in, is I just lean on my friend Kyle here and like, hey man, he'll help a brother out.
So yeah, I mean, you have rock and lock mags, any 7.62 Galil, you're not getting some like weird like mag that you just operate like an AR. And
no, yeah, it's the straight up like AK mags, the same. And
yeah,
I just picked up a bunch of Magpul mags because I'm a fanboy. But
well, I don't think it's the best time on the podcast, but maybe I've been wanting to make some videos on how to reload an AK, because I think that's the biggest thing. Like a Galil, like if you got a Gen 2 ACE, the safety is going to be way easier to use than a normal AK. The safety is, it's a thumb safety, and it kind of feels like you push it forward to go fire, and you kind of pull it back towards you to go safe. So naturally, if you're used to an AR, it's going to happen. Left side charging, which is better than an AR. It's just right there, exactly where you'd want it. And the only weird thing then is learning how to run a rocket lock. And I don't want to, this is my trophy, so I don't want to hammer on it too hard, but I do the kick out method. So I always grab for a competition or something where you don't give a shit about that mag that you're getting rid of. I always grab the mag, use that mag to kick it out, put the new mag in, and then if you're empty, which you shouldn't be in a match, then you just rack it. But yeah, I'll make a video about it. We'll do a video, and
Yeah, that'd be cool. It'd be helpful.
yeah, yeah.
And, then, and
There's some nuance to it for sure.
so then, on that note, like when you're switching from AR to AK, and I know for me, like when I pick up a new gun, to shoot, even just like plinking around, a lot of times, like you said, the myelination, which people like to call the muscle memory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just kicks in, and you try to operate it like you normally do your competition gun. Or a good example is I let a friend of mine shoot a 2011, and it's got a thumb safety, and he's used to Glocks, and so he's sitting there just trying to hammer on the trigger. It's like, hey, buddy, on your thumb there.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you switch from like your 3-gun season to your AK season to back to now, you're going to be doing 2-gun with PCSL, and then 3-gun with Hard as Hell. Like, how does your training and your dry fire look to program in your head? Like, okay, brain, we've switched guns, so think of this gun.
So I basically ramp the complexity of the training up as I go. So like right now, I've just been shooting AKs, and I need to go back to ARs and get back on my handgun, because I haven't really shot the handgun or trained with it in like 2 months now, which is like the longest I'll go without shooting a pistol. So basically,
and then quick interruption, you shoot CZ still, is that right?
No, I shoot a 2011 now.
Okay,
and I'll probably have an announcement pretty soon here. I'm shooting for. I'm going to be shooting a 2011 made by a pretty popular builder.
cool.
Soon. The one that I have now was a Titan 2011. It's a freaking awesome gun, but Titan is kind of disbanded. So yeah, I don't shoot for Titan anymore. Anyways, I'm still using that 2011. But yeah, so my training will be it'll be a lot, not much movement. My dry fire will not have much movement. It's like me doing dry fire L pres with the pistol, trying to build the speed up, and dry firing small steels. Like I replicate, you can see some black points on the wall back there, just pieces of tape. So I'll just be like isolating the speed, shooting, reloads, and then isolating the accurate, really fine sight picture with a good trigger pull kind of stuff. And then same with rifle. I'll do similar setups with the rifle, just way smaller targets, and work on, my port arms, getting a good shoulder connection, how it's supposed to feel, just transitions, no movement yet. And I don't practice reloads with ARs at all. I mean, you just don't do it in matches. I don't find it to be a useful thing to beat to death. And yeah, as time goes on, this is let's say a month before the major match, I'm doing really simple stuff. As time progresses, once I'm 2 weeks away from the major match, I'll be doing I'll start my training session with the fundamental stuff, with the L pres, with the just draw one shot, with the three, what do people call it, a Blake drill, with a rifle on really tiny targets.
I don't know what that one is.
It's like L pres, but you just shoot 3 targets. You don't do a reload.
Oh, okay.
I think it's Blake drill. Anyways, and then it will start the late, that's 10 minutes of that, and then the rest of the session will be mini stages, and mini stages that are replicating things that I know I'm going to see in the match. So I'm doing my research if it's a new match I haven't been to, or I'm recalling, or I'm looking at my old videos from last year, which is why I like to shoot the same matches year to year until I win them, or I'm ready to do another match, because I want to know what I'm in for, so my training can be geared towards those matches. And then the week of usually is almost entirely mini stages, because I personally, this is just me, most people shouldn't do this, but I have issues with remembering all the targets on the stage, executing everything. And
it's like we just talked about with Trigun.
Well, that's funny. I never even saw that one in the walkthrough. It was a mini.
Oh.
It was the only mini USPSA target on the whole stage, and it you went to this corner to shoot a long range, a mid range offhand steel, and there was a barrel, and it was like in the mud on the ground, like sticking out, and it looked like a piece of trash on the ground. Like I didn't see it in the walkthrough. It wasn't never part of my plan, and it was a
Oh, that
3 bay
sucks.
stage, so I didn't see people shooting because I'm resetting the first bay full of shotgun steel, like 50 shotgun steel. I was just resetting that, so I never saw the third bay where that rifle target was. Anyways, um,
Sorry to bring it
but
up.
that's not the first time. I forget shit all the time, or I just have glitches in like my footwork and stuff. So like my last week before the match is usually just like complicated, obnoxious, like mini stages that I'll run like 3 times, and I just have targets all over my apartment so I can like mix and match and make different positions and just try to make it complicated, but flow through the whole thing. But that really is just me. I think most people like don't have such an issue with that. Um, and then also just trying to keep recreating the mental space that I need to be in a match, which is like basically just focusing on mental calmness, um, being as clear minded, like eliminating all thought I possibly can in the moments when I'm making ready. So like uh, doing the same processes that I would do on a stage as I'm making ready or as I'm like on deck, like doing that in dry fire. And it's funny, I see people like like Tony Cowden, who's has no fucking clue what he's doing, um, with a rifle, especially like with an AR, and he's a a GM, and he didn't get kicked out of the USPSA for having fake matches. That whole thing. Um, you watch him train, and he doesn't think about anything. He literally pulls the gun out, goes bah 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 bah, and then he sticks it in the holster, pulls it back out, bah 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 bah, sticks it in the holster, pulls it back out. There's no thought. There's no like mental process of in between each string, and even in dry fire, like you need to do the same thing. You can't just like keep ripping your gun out or like getting tilted that I can't hit this time. Like you kind of have to
Mm-hmm.
go through your whole mental process, um, and be cognizant of like of what you're doing every time and assessing like what you did wrong last time and trying to improve and change things about what you're doing the next time, or else like dry fire is a waste of time.
Yeah, so I think you're spot on that one, and I do the example you just used there. I think I see that a lot, and I've done that a lot. And when I was training up for two gun nationals, which was PCC pistol, which I don't shoot PCC, and it wasn't my gun, so it was like everything was new to me, right? So Forrest and I were both shooting it, so we went out to the range and shot a lot. And one thing I found is when we would switch drills, your tendency was to because we would, obviously leave targets in the ground and then like, we're just going to shoot them different. We're shoot this, change the starting position, change the movement, stuff like that. So we didn't have to hammer and move stuff all the time. The tendency is to just go and shoot the same drill you just shot. And we got to like stopping each other like, hey, you just shot that thing again. And so the tendency was like, okay, well, I'm going to go back to the start because I don't want to hold up the training session. It's like, no, stop there and do your make ready sequence again. Get the targets in just like you would do on a stage, right? Like get those targets
Yeah.
programmed in your head. And even though it's just a drill, even though we're just practicing here,
Yep.
like do what you would do if this were for real.
Yep.
I think that's a huge emphasis. I don't hear people talk about a lot is even what you said of treating that dry fire session as a stage of like, these are the targets I'm going to shoot. I'm going to move over here, like doing that walkthrough in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Those reps really help on the range as well.
And also like letting go of everything after you do your walkthrough in your head, trying to be calm, trying to be in a state of awareness, as the Brian Enos book calls it. Which he's basically that whole book, which I think is, I mean, I haven't read that many books on shooting, but I read that one early on, and it's basically a book about Zen. It's really not about. It's a bunch of technical shooting stuff, but all the good stuff is about mental state of awareness. And
it's funny when I think about that book. I forget all the technical shooting parts, and I just think of the mental awareness parts of it.
Yep.
And yeah, I constantly have to be reminded like, yeah, he did talk about like the number of checkers on a pistol that need to be correct, but I just none of that stuck with me. Everything that stuck with me was the mental part.
Yeah, I think that's like more for the beginners. Like it's good info in that book for beginners, but then the like anybody, I've re-listened to that book on tape so many times.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, whenever I start kind of rushing through stuff and like not thinking about that, I'll go and revisit it, and I'm like, yeah, I need to be more. I need to be more serious about my mental state when shooting.
Yeah,
because it really is. It's everything. And you see people fall apart. Like you see me on a stage where one little thing goes wrong or is like out of place, and it like takes me out of that mental state, and then everything just goes to shit after that. Which is really, it's really hard to do once you get kicked out of it by an outside factor, or even like a really difficult target or something that's fucking with your head.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like a record skipping.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what a record is after the podcast here, Kyle.
Yeah. I'm a millennial. I lived in the world without internet. I like to tell people that.
Oh, thank God.
I existed before the internet. Yeah, it was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it was probably the best time, actually. Peak. The Matrix was right. It was the peak of human existence.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we're at the end of our time here, so I want to let you go because I know you've got stuff to do for the rest of the day here. But man, this has been great. Really enjoy the conversation. I always love having you on. Looking forward to your Galil video. And if you got a final thought or piece of advice for the audience to walk away with, what would it be?
I guess I won't say anything too crazy this time. I would say if you what do you want to get out of shooting? Like, not everybody needs to be like a top performer, but like if you do want to get better at shooting, like you're only going to get out what you put in. And I want to give a shout out to a couple buddies from Colorado, Dave Good and Jay Seifert. I'm probably saying Jay's last name wrong. But like those dudes, they're really into it. They've been shooting a long time, and you saw it come out Red October this year. They both placed really well, and it's because they're freaking dry firing. They're putting in the time and effort, and they're going to the range and shooting. And in like a year, like 1 year of like them dedicating themselves and doing that, now both of them have some of their first major match wins. Jay won his pea shooter division, and then Dave has already won some stuff. I'm like having trouble recalling, but he got like second in the night match, and like they're just up there. They're up there in the scores, and yeah, that's what it is. Like if you want to do better, you got to put more time in, and you don't have to do that either. If you just enjoy shooting, like just be safe and go out and have fun. Like that's what half of what the matches are about. Not everybody has to be a sweaty try hard like me.
I love it, Kyle. That's a great way to end the show. Unrival Pro Shop, everybody, go check them out. Find all the cool stuff that Kyle and Zach make for your AR, your AK, and everything to make you a better shooter. Other than the dry fire, got to do that on your own.
That's true. Muzzle brakes are a good thing. Oh yeah, I'll say that in my last thing. Like, fuck these internet people that are saying muzzle brakes are bad. Like, I know I haven't been in a gunfight, but like, dude, if I'm in a gunfight during the daytime, like, I probably want to have a muzzle brake. Like, it'll probably be a good thing to have like not so much recoil. Anyway,
dude, I need to have like a weekly shit the internet saying session with you because I miss all these things. So
yeah. I think it was the internet was dry fire was bad. That was one. And then,
I remember that one. That was bullshit.
Muzzle brakes. Apparently, you're a piece of shit instructor. You don't know what you're doing. If you're using a muzzle brake, you should have an A2 flash hider. That's the only acceptable thing. Yeah. Internet.
Wow. Yeah, we need to catch up more, bud.
I'm sorry. Yeah, too many rants on this one, but I wish I could have gone longer. I wish we could have done this earlier because we got a lot more to talk about. But
dude, as long as one of us doesn't die, let's do it again.
Yeah, I'm sure
We
we
got all the
will.
time in the world.
Hell yeah.
All right. Thanks for being here, Kyle.
Right on, Dave. Thank you.